Welcome to this edition of the Banner Press Sports Corner. Thanks for tuning in on your preferred platform. I'm Nick Botodell, sports writer here at the Bread and Banner Press. And the chilly temperatures we currently have may not line up with the start of the spring sports season, but here it is. High school softball and baseball seasons are underway in the state of Texas, and the Banner Press earlier this week released its in-depth spring sports preview, big outlooks and all the high school teams here in Washington County, and one big feature, of course, on one of Blynn's big returners. In addition to Caden Ferraro being featured, also have an athlete from Burton and Brenham High Schools, both from the softball teams. We have one here with us today, senior pitcher Bailey Glaesmann, already off to a really good start to the year after an impressive performance against Cameron Rio, and we're happy to have her in studio this week. Thank you so much, Bailey, for coming in.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and you guys had the one game against Cameron, and you guys have had just a tumultuous early season. Games against Hempstead was rained out.
Yeah,
Schulenburg earlier this week was rained out. We talked a little bit before we got this thing rolling. Just how have you guys been dealing with those rainouts so far?
It sucks because we want to have a few games under the belt before we go right into district play, which starts next week already. But we make it work. Like I said, the other day against Schulenburg, it rained out, and we scrimmaged with each other as a team, and it was productive. So we got to see live pitching and still got to play defense and get good hitting in. So we just make it work with whatever we got.
Yeah, and with the numbers you guys have, scrimmaging against each other, you guys actually had the luxury to do so at the two-way level. Just how nice is that to be able to have a backup?
It's really nice because years before, I was the only pitcher. So obviously we couldn't do that because I can't pitch to everyone or to myself. So now this year we have a few freshmen that can pitch and do multiple different things in the infield, outfield, wherever we need them. Honestly, we have a good variety of players on the team this year.
Yeah, and I know Coach Soren, after that 11-1 win against Cameron Yo, he told me he was really excited to see all this depth and be able to have that luxury of the numbers. Just how nice is that to have all of these different girls on the team?
It's really nice because, everyone has their off days. So say someone's not doing their best at one position, we have other people that could fill in and help out that day. So.
Yeah, right. And of course, you being the star of it, to be on the cover of our spring sports preview. How's that feel, first off?
It's really nice. I don't know. I feel very honored.
Any compliments around the school in the last couple of days since she's been out?
Yeah, everyone's calling me. They're like, "Oh, the write-up, it's so good." Because, it's has my whole life story, basically.
Yeah. And we take great pride in those features, and you can check that out also on our website, brenhambanner.com, for Bailey on the Burton side, Brenham High School, Sarah Mabey, and of course Caden Ferraro on the Blinn side. You can check all those out on our website if you are so interested in doing so. But we've been talking about the depth that you guys have, and I believe you guys recently have been able to get some more via the basketball team being able to come in and now transition to softball. It's just, how nice is that been, considering that a lot of them were huge in last year's team?
Yes, it's really nice. Like I said, having the different options just makes things so much easier because, you don't have to rely on one person, and it's less stressful for everyone. Yeah,
that is for sure. And Saturday's game against Cameron Yo was almost like a sneak peek as to the depth you guys have, because I'd imagine that some of those girls in the lineup Saturday may not quite find their way in there throughout this next tournament you guys have in Caldwell. So, and even to see some of those girls perform well, just how gratifying was that for you to see as a senior?
Yeah, I think it's since we have so many girls, the competitiveness is there. You can just tell everyone wants to compete for their spot, and everyone's trying really hard and doing their best. So
right, and Saturday's game, of course, 11-1 run rule win, great for you guys. But I'm sure it wasn't quite perfect necessarily for it being game one. Just what were some of the things you guys identified as things to improve upon after that game?
There's always improvement for anything. I know myself, pitching wise, it was my first game, so I was a little nervous, and there's just different things I could do with what pitches to throw when, and then defensively just making plays that we could have made, maybe going to second before going to first, on a double play, or just stuff like that, little things.
Yeah, and of course the thing you had the one big shot, and I think I'm thinking of plenty of games, 14-4. I'm thinking of many different games on the top of my head, so I apologize for that.
No, you're okay.
And the viewers, first off. And you've had, I know you had a few few RBI hits that you kind of gave up, and I know the one thing someone really was complimentary of was the composure that you had. Just how big was that throughout that whole game?
It's important to stay like you said, have good composure, stay strong. Like, people are gonna hit the ball, and I'm gonna make mistakes on my pitching placement, but you have to think of the next thing, think of the next play, what to do for the next batter, and be successful against them.
Yeah, and you also had multiple jams with runners in scoring position that you got out of with really effective strikeouts. I mean, just how effective do you think that 2-strike pitch was for you against Cameron Yo?
Oh, yes, it's very effective. I just have to have the confidence knowing that I can only worry about the batter, don't worry about anyone else, so...
Yeah. Is that hard to do when you have 2 runners on scoring position, bases loaded?
Yeah, sometimes it can get stressful, but since I've pitched so long, I have enough confidence in me and my teammates too that we can get that batter out no matter what happens. So.
Yeah. Perhaps one other girl who got a lot of compliments after the write up on you was your catcher,
oh, yes.
Reagan Roemer. Since I focused so much on her and that as well, and the relationship you guys have as that battery. Just how big was that on Saturday?
Yes, it's very helpful because she knows if I'm getting aggravated with myself, she knows when to call the timeout, when to come up and talk to me, and she knows. If Coach Zorn's questioning what kind of pitch to throw, she knows what's my best pitch and what time I should throw it. She's very helpful for me to be successful when it comes to my pitching.
Yeah, and you guys have developed that throughout basically 7 years of being a pitcher catcher. Really 6. You had the 1 year taken away due to COVID, but that was in the junior high year. So in all effectiveness, you had the same amount of time as everyone else. Just how big of an advantage was that to have the junior high years as far as having the relationship with your catcher is concerned?
That was a great advantage. I mean, just starting the relationship between me and her so young just helped us. Now we grew together as pitcher and catcher too. So she's seen me from, just trying to throw strikes to me being able to move the ball around, and it's just a great thing to have between a pitcher and catcher.
Yeah, and a lot of what I hear in other sports too, not just through you and Reagan, and not just through the softball team, but the whole Lady Panther group as a whole. It just seems to be really cohesive, getting together anytime they can. Just how do you kind of feel that cohesiveness amongst the whole team within the softball realm of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have a good team connection. You need to everyone gets along really well, and that's a good thing to have when it comes to any team sport, because if you don't get along with someone, that could just cause problems, and we don't really have that issue.
Yeah, how often do you guys try to get together outside of softball?
We usually try to have quite a few team meetings, we call it, and we go out to eat sometimes, or just hang out at different games, and we try to include everyone and everything.
That's a really productive meeting.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Just It's just good to have a good team bond. So
yes, that's a really productive meeting.
Yeah,
really productive, man. And I know we do that sometimes in the newsroom too. Have some of those meetings ends up being lunch, and which is it's great.
Yeah,
it's great to be able to have some of those not traditional meetings.
Yeah, it's just a good way to get everyone together and talk and let loose.
Yeah. And of course, being in a small school, I'm sure also really helps with that, I imagine, right?
Of course.
Yeah, just how often are you in classes with your respective teammates?
I'm in most of my classes. I have half the team, because I have some classes with juniors, but I'm in the ag shop 3 times a day, and there's grades 9 through 12 up there, so I see most of my team throughout the day.
Right, and I know. And that's got to be an incredible advantage to be able to work with these girls outside of softball, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, does that almost kind of help you girls out as far as working together and just within all aspects?
I would say so. Just because we're not only working together on the softball field, but also in the school aspect as well.
Right, and of course, it's all about you guys being student athletes, so that's always good to be able to have that.
Yes.
We have Burton senior pitcher Bailey Glaesmann in the Banner Press Sports Corner this week, and we just released our spring sports preview, and she is the cover girl for Burton High School this year in our spring sports preview. And we've mentioned already that you guys have had some games rained out, and the one game you guys have had was on turf, which of course is different from your guys' home field at the school. Is there a big difference between pitching on turf and dirt?
Pitching wise, it's a little bit of a difference because like the dirt, eventually you start digging a hole, and your foot, you have to find a different spot to put your foot so you don't slip or like get uneven. But in turf is perfectly flat the whole time, so it's a little bit of a difference. But I would say the main difference is when it's raining and the turf's really slick. That's when it can get a little tricky, but you just have to learn how to adapt to it.
Yeah. How bad was that on Saturday with the mist and the light rain?
Yeah, it wasn't the best weather to play in, but it was. We all adapted to it and made it work. So.
Yeah, and I know in Caldwell you'll see more about those turf games. Yeah. You've had plenty of playoff games also on turf. So, as far as fielding is concerned, because I know you have to field the old ground ball every once in a while. It's just how big of a difference is that? Yeah,
it's a pretty big difference because turf, it comes off harder, it'll bounce higher. So you just have to learn how to play the bounce of the ball. As of like dirt, it'll just like usually stay lower to the ground, doesn't bounce up as high. So it is a difference, and we just have to learn how to make the change and adapt to it.
Yeah. Are those all adjustments you have to have mentally pregame when dealing with the conditions?
Yes, usually pregame, like we do our pregame warm up, and they'll hit in and outs, and so like all the infielders and stuff can get work on the turf before we start the game. So it's very helpful.
You get a pretty good idea of exactly what to expect. Yes. And I know even at those Burton fields, you sometimes get the turf infield, grass outfield. Yeah. So it's just kind of the surface. Yeah, the surface difference can really get to the outfielders as well in that respect. But I mean, as far as you kind of mentioned, the different spots as far as stuff like that. Is there any difference as far as the dirt and turf's concerned to your actual motion at all, or is it just kind of the pre-motion stuff?
Not really. It's just mainly pre-motion stuff.
Mainly pre-motion. So it's just kind of getting the foot planted, I'd imagine, the big thing, right?
Yeah, that helps, like obviously the push off the mound is where everything starts when it comes to pitching. Like you want to have a good drive off the mound to have a good, nice solid pitch. So that sometimes can be tricky, but everything else is basically the same.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as Saturday was concerned, you kind of mentioned it wasn't quite the best really to pitch on. Did you feel that the turf getting pretty slippery during that?
Yes, it got slick towards the end of the game because it started raining a little harder, but we wiped the mound off as best we could with towels and stuff, and it wasn't too terrible because it wasn't raining that hard yet, but it was a little different. You could tell you had to like really make sure your foot was stable before you pitch.
Yeah, I'm just imagine you probably pitched in worse, right?
Yes, I have. I pitched in games where it's pouring down on us, barely can see where you're throwing the ball, but
jeez.
Yeah.
God, yeah. Do you remember an example of that kind of?
There was one select tournament, I forgot, a few years back, and we were playing, and all of a sudden it just started pouring, but it wasn't lightning yet, so they didn't call the game. But it was pouring, and it was hard to grip the ball. Everything was slipping. Everyone else, it was hard to see because it was just dripping down like your face. And then they finally called it after like that inning was over. But it was a rough inning, that's for sure, for everyone.
Man, hopefully it wasn't rough as far as run production was concerned, right?
Oh yeah.
right. And just right now it's not just the rain, but it's also the cold.
Yes.
The extreme cold that you guys have to deal with as well. And that's something you have to battle in Caldwell. It's just, how hard is that to be pitching through really cold conditions?
Yeah. The weather obviously isn't ideal, but we have to try our best to keep our hands warm because it is hard to grip the ball when your hand's so cold because you can't really feel what you're doing because each pitch is a different grip. So I have to learn how to adapt to that. I keep hand warmers with me when I get in the dugout, get a big jacket, put my hands in like gloves or something. So that's just what I have to do to try to adapt to that.
Yeah. Does the varsity jacket help out with that?
It does. This does definitely help. It's very warm.
Yeah. And that's something I wonder because, I mean, obviously the varsity jacket's a huge thing in the state of Texas. And I'm sure everywhere. Unfortunately, I don't have one of my high school days. But, I mean, how warm actually are those things? They're
really warm. Like right now I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, and it's like keeping me very warm because obviously it's very cold outside right now. So, yeah, they're pretty warm.
Yeah. So I imagine you probably don't even need all the extra sweatshirts if you just have the varsity jacket.
Yeah.
Right. And just, of course, this season, this being your last hurrah, all the depth you have, you've already told me before the season, state championship.
Yes.
That's the ultimate aspiration. Goal. Just how realistic do you think that is with just what you've seen out of the freshmen, what you've seen out of just everyone at this point, all the riches you have to work with?
I'm very excited. Like I said, we have so many different girls that can play so many different positions, which definitely will help out in the long run. Coach Jordan's going to have so many different options, and I think it's just going to help out a lot. Like I said, if one girl's not having their best day, then we can probably find someone else that could play the position too. Because, no one's going to be perfect, and it's a great feeling to, like, go into, like, games knowing that we have so many options and you're not the only one.
Right, and I'm sure it gives Court Stone a heck of a time figuring out who to put in there.
Yes, it's definitely giving him a hard time, but yeah. But it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. It's not you only have 9 girls, go out there and do what you can. You have, gosh, Lord, probably even double that, I'd imagine. Maybe even more. It's just incredible testament what you guys have been doing over there. And so then the last couple of years, you guys have followed that area around. But actually winning a playoff series last year was the big accomplishment for you guys. Just how much have you learned from those playoff series the last couple of years to really be able to tackle and try to keep developing this year for?
I've learned a lot. I feel that, like, each year we progress a little bit more, and everyone on the team wants the same thing. So I think we're all going to work our hardest to get to where we want to be and reach the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and of course last year there was the single game area round, that 8-1 defeat, I believe, against Thrall. It's just, what did you learn about your pitching in that particular game there?
Just like, I treated every batter differently, and I made sure I went one batter at the time. Like, I tried not to worry about too many things at once because I had to keep my composure and keep the confidence. And,
just a lot of mental stuff, I'd imagine, with that.
Pitching definitely, like, comes, like, down to, like, a lot of mental things. So you want to be a good pitcher, you have to have the confidence. You can't, like, think too hard about past mistakes. You have to look to the future and just worry about then.
Yeah, so it sounds like if the confidence is gone, essentially you're gone on the mound, I imagine, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, right. And just, I mean, how much do you keep that mind sharp outside of softball when it comes to staying composed, staying relaxed, and all those things?
I definitely work on that too. Even with, like, at my pitching lessons, I try to stay calm. Like, if one pitch isn't working that day, I'll move on to the next one, work on that, and then I'll come back to it, and then I just have to keep my composure, stay calm, and have the confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah, just and this is also very early days with this particular team, but what do you believe makes this team different that can potentially go after that state championship compared to the last couple of years?
I think what makes us so different this year is, like we've said before, we have so many different options, and just, like, the team connection this year. We're all very close. Most of them have already played a season of volleyball together, so we already have a pretty close team bond, and we're all very hardworking, and we all have the same ultimate goal of getting to the state championship. So I think that helps with just, like, us getting there.
Yeah, and between all of you girls in the volleyball team, several of them on basketball also had huge playoff games. You guys have playoff experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be third, fourth round softball specifically, but you've been to a regional final in volleyball. The basketball girls got to the second round of area for in that area playoffs for the first time in a decade for that program. So you guys have blazed so many trails already. How much do you think that's going to help you guys out in trying to blaze a trail for the softball program this year?
I think that'll definitely help because, like you said, we've all, like, been in some type of playoff situation, and I think that'll help with, like, the pressure of a tough game or in, like, a nerve-wracking game. I think everyone has an understanding of how it's going to feel and what they have to do to stay calm and do their best.
Yeah, and just about everyone had experienced that run to the regional final this past fall on the volleyball side. Just what was that like, the progression of the rounds, just going through every single stage in that playoff run?
Yeah. Each round got more exciting as it went on and more nerve-wracking because, you're getting closer and closer to, like, the state championship game, and you just want to keep working hard. It's just but each round gets more exciting as you go. That's for sure.
Right. So I imagine that's going to translate really well to the softball. I'd imagine because that has nothing to do with softball fundamentals. So
yeah.
I mean, how well do you think that's going to transition over when it comes time for May to hit?
I think it'll transition over pretty good because all these girls have the want to make it as far as they can go.
Right. It's just you also kind of mentioned the agricultural part because of course these are all student athletes and that's a very big part of the high school experience is getting every bit of it. How much of the agricultural stuff do you hope to do after high school?
I think I want to get like minor in ag business, so I want to probably have something to do because my family we raise animals and cows and stuff, so I want to stick with that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've done a lot with FFA and all the county fairs and stuff like that. Yes. Is that something you're going to miss, all the county fair projects over the years?
Yes, I'll definitely miss that because it's been a part of my life since I've been in 3rd grade. So, this coming year when I go to the fair, it's not going to be the same because, I'm used to working with a project all year to showing it to, having something to do, and it's just going to be a little different.
Yeah, and of course you also have been working in the fall for your college softball endeavors at Alvin, which is also a big part of the story for the spring sports preview. How much have you been in contact over the last few weeks with Alvin ahead of this high school season?
Yeah, we have a group message with everyone, and she always checks in on how we're doing, how the season's going, and she, the coaches also look in on our stats and stuff to make sure we're keeping up, good work too. And I've been keeping in touch with them too and their games and how they've been doing, and they've been doing pretty good this year too. So
yeah, that's good to hear.
Exciting.
And I imagine they'd be thrilled about the 10 strikeouts you put together on Saturday.
Yes.
So coming up for you guys, we mentioned that the Caldwell Swarm tournament got 5 games to work with over the next 3 days, and of course that means plenty of pitching in cold weather.
Yes.
How important is it going to be to keep that arm fresh over these next 3 days?
Yes, the next 3 days I'm gonna have to really keep my arm warm, and I'm gonna have to take my warm ups and stretching seriously and go slow. Make sure before I full on pitch I'm warm enough, because I don't want to pull anything and hurt myself. And then after games when I get home, I'll ice my shoulder, my arm, and that's what helps me stay fresh for multiple days in a row.
Yeah, so what's going to be the game plan for in between games? Because you'll have plenty of those in between. At least tomorrow, Thursday, you'll have a 9 a.m. and a 12:10. So that leaves a game in between. So what's kind of the protocol for your arm at that point in time?
I'll probably keep it warm. I'll make sure I have my jacket on and try to stay as warm as I possibly can. But I'll probably stretch and do band work with my arm in between games, keep it loose.
Yeah, that's obviously a good game plan. And of course, the whole season leading up to those state championship aspirations, you guys have already benefited from the division split this year with volleyball being 4 rounds deep into a regional final.
Yeah.
How well do you think that division split's going to work out for you guys in the softball field this year?
I think it'll be really good. I think it's putting us in the best competition for us to get to where we want to go. So
yeah, and you guys are always going to be guaranteed to go Division II within this alignment. Do you think there's any benefit to that, or not necessarily?
I don't know, not necessarily. I think it's just whatever division we get put in, we'll put in the most work we can, wherever we go. So
might be best for you to leave the enrollment number crunching for us.
Yeah.
But of course, you guys are always going to be in Division II within this alignment. So no number crunching here, thank goodness. I can't imagine what I would have to do if I had to do all that. like some places that have had to do all the number crunching. So at least you guys and Brett on both. No number crunching required.
That's good. That's good.
So that is always a good thing. Well, you and of course after the Caldwell Swarm, you got Mumford. That's been a big district opponent for you guys across all sports.
Yes.
So what's gonna be the big key to knocking them and Iowa off to get to where you guys want to go? And that is of course a district championship.
Yes. So this year, obviously, the first goal is to win district, get to playoffs, and beating Mumford, like you said, is definitely on the top of our list because we have some revenge with them because they beat us the past 2 games last year, and we definitely can do that. We just have to work hard, and we know what they can do now. We know that they have a good pitcher as well, and we know we just have to focus and try our best to hit the ball. And
Yeah, it seems like it's all about pitching within two-way softball for sure. But I mean, just throughout all the sports, because I know basketball, they've had their struggles, but Mumford's been a real good opponent for them. I mean, even on the volleyball side, you've had some guys who've had some good matches against Mumford. Just what makes Mumford overall such a good opponent for you guys within this district?
They're just this group that they've had the past couple of years. They're just all very athletic group and are very competitive as well, so they're a very competitive team to play against.
Right, and then they've been really fun matches to watch.
Yes, for sure.
From our vantage point as well. So, of course, it's not just the big story on Bailey within our spring sports preview. It's also outlooks on the whole Burton softball team, Brenham softball, Brenham baseball. Pretty much any high school team you could possibly imagine for. That is right here within our spring sports preview. And, of course, our regular paper 3 times a week gets you all the information you need to know about how the Lady Panthers, Covettes, Cubs, Panthers are all doing within their respective seasons. So if you're not subscribed to the Banner Press, we highly encourage you in joining our family. You can call 979-836-7956. Let the good folks here, the Banner Press, take care of you and get you subscribed to the paper. You can go on our website, BrenhamBanner.com, as well to subscribe and also find all kinds of other stuff. Podcast links are on our website. Photo galleries are also up on our website. So plenty of services you can access through our website, BrenhamBanner.com, in addition to being able to subscribe to the Brenham Banner Press, which gets you everything you need to know. Thank you so much, Bailey, again, for stopping by. We really look forward to chronicling your senior season. I've been Nicholas Hodel. Have a very good rest of your week. Please stay warm. We'll catch you here soon in the Banner Press Sports Corner.